Welcome, esteemed viewers. Today, we explore a dark past. Step into the ancient Mayan world. When you picture a sports match, you think of cheering crowds, golden trophies, and a friendly handshake. But over 2,000 years ago, the Maya people played a game with the highest possible stakes. Known as Pok-A-Tok, this is the oldest team sport in the Americas, played on a massive stone court. Losing this brutal match did not mean going home in tears. It meant facing a tragic and ultimate end. Deep inside the thick jungle, at the very heart of a grand Maya city, lies a massive stone wonder. This colossal structure is not a palace or a grand temple. It is the infamous ballcourt of the gods. Thousands of eager spectators gather here today, crowding the very steep limestone terraces. The brutal sun beats down upon the dry arena, baking the white stone into a fiery furnace. To the Maya, this grand court is no simple game. It reflects the terrifying underworld. They believe the surface represents Xibalba, the dark and perilous realm of the greedy death gods. The heavy rubber sphere is never just a toy. It portrays the sacred journey of the mighty sun. A sudden deafening roar erupts from the crowd. The brave captain of the light team steps forward. He stands tall and proud, his dark copper skin absorbing the brutal and punishing heat of the bright day. Vibrant paint decorates his aristocratic face, fully matching his finely carved wooden armor. A thick leather yoke securely guards his strong waist, absorbing the harsh impact of the solid sphere. Across the arena, his mighty rival emerges, the formidable captain of the Darkness team, a massive warrior who radiates aggression. He wears a majestic jaguar pelt around his waist. Dark motifs completely cover his terrifying face. Thick bone necklaces rattle loudly with each step. The two mighty warriors tightly lock their fiery eyes. They share a silent understanding of the stakes. High above the field, upon an elaborate stone throne, rests the almighty and powerful Maya king. Motionless like a living god, he sits there, dressed in majestic garments of bright gold and vibrant jade. A massive headdress of rare quetzal feathers crowns his royal head, glowing under the blistering sun. With an arrogant wave, the silent king officially signals the terrifying contest to begin. Priests drag the solid rubber ball to the center of the dusty arena, leaving it there to rest. The air grows extremely tense. Every spectator holds their breath in absolute and terrifying fear. Step into this grand court. Your only escape is absolute victory or a terrifying end. Mayan legends claim the universe demands a constant supply of vital essence to fully survive. Without this terrible sacrifice, the sun would completely stop, plunging the world into endless dark. The players are not merely athletes. They are holy warriors, fighting a desperate cosmic battle. A piercing blast from a conch shell shatters the silence, echoing against the very steep limestone walls. The fearful game of Pok-A-Tok begins. The wild stadium erupts into an absolute frenzy. Both mighty captains lunge forward with explosive speed, charging toward the massive rubber sphere. The solid sphere could shatter bones, yet they must keep it airborne, using only their physical bodies. By strict sacred rules, hands and feet are completely banned. They rely entirely on their hips and elbows. The captain twists his body fiercely, launching his wooden yoke directly into the heavy black sphere. A heavy thud echoes through the arena as the solid rubber forcefully hits the wooden guard. The solid sphere rockets upward, defying gravity, hurtling toward the steep and rocky terrace. The Dark Captain anticipates the wild bounce. He throws his massive body aggressively through the air. He fiercely smashes the falling ball with his strong knee, sending it crashing back across the grand court. The physical toll is truly severe. Every fierce collision forcefully jolts their internal bones. Hours drag on under the hot, unforgiving sun. The blinding dust makes it incredibly hard to breathe. Heavy sweat now covers the brave Captain of Light. His perfect, vibrant face paint is heavily smeared. Deep physical wounds slowly begin to mark his chest, showing the true, harsh reality of this match. His wooden hip guards are visibly cracked from the constant impact of the heavy rubber sphere. The Darkness Captain is also visibly suffering. Thick sweat and white dirt mix on his broad shoulders. His jaguar pelt is torn, and he breathes heavily through his mouth, violently fighting pure exhaustion. Yet neither mighty warrior shows any sign of yielding. Surrender is absolutely impossible. The heavy sphere ricochets off the steep limestone wall, flying rapidly back to the center court. He fiercely throws his exhausted body across the court, fighting desperately to keep the ball alive. He forcefully hits the unforgiving ancient stone floor, severely injuring his exposed arm. A collective gasp ripples through the massive crowd, but the injured heroic captain struggles to stand. Records show that shattered ribs and profound internal trauma were incredibly frequent injuries. The heavy sphere was truly dangerous. A direct strike to the torso could instantly end a life. But these brave elite players cannot stop to treat their grievous wounds. The terrifying gods watch them. Above them all, the king remains entirely impassive. His cold eyes trace every single brutal move. To him, this is no standard sporting event. It is a vital and sacred tool to maintain the universe. The match continues relentlessly. The heavy thud of the solid sphere fills the entirely dusty air. The passing hours blur into eternity. The bright sun begins its slow descent behind the ancient temple. How far would your human endurance greatly stretch, knowing quitting meant an immediate and tragic end? Both exhausted teams are firmly locked in a desperate stalemate. Neither brave side has scored a single point. Scoring is notoriously difficult. The main goal is to safely pass the ball through a small stone hoop. These extremely narrow stone rings are mounted nearly 30 feet high on the steep, sloping arena walls. Passing the heavy sphere through that small hole using only your bruised hips requires an absolute miracle. In the ancient world, this harsh game would last for days without a single point ever being truly scored. The Captain of Darkness roars, slamming his massive chest fiercely into the dangerous rubber sphere. Channeling the fierce jaguar, he aggressively tries to dominate his utterly exhausted rival. Despite deep wounds, the captain miraculously intercepts the extremely fast and dangerous projectile. He drops his tired shoulder, fiercely driving the heavy ball directly up the steep limestone incline. The dense sphere slowly rolls back down. The highly relentless cycle of profound physical pain repeats. Deep crimson droplets finally begin to stain the once pristine white surface of the ancient arena. To the faithful spectators, this noble offering of vital essence is proudly seen as a sacred act. They believe the mighty lords of the Underworld are fiercely consuming the warrior's true life essence. Shadows of the tall pyramids begin to grow longer, creeping slowly across the crimson-stained stone court. The last stage of the epic cosmic battle approaches. Only one heroic team will truly survive. The tired sun fully hides behind the jagged horizon, casting a fiery light across the court. The brave Captain of Light is completely broken. He breathes in desperately intense and heavy gasps. Sweat viciously stings his painfully swollen eyes. His great wooden armor is now completely useless. Across the dark court, the rival captain is heavily struggling, entirely pushed to his absolute limit. The sphere finally falls from the massive wall one last time, bouncing directly toward the tired captain. He fiercely summons every final ounce of pure strength remaining inside his utterly broken body. He throws his exhausted body boldly into the heavy air, aiming directly at the falling dark sphere. With a terrible crack, his entirely battered wooden yoke aggressively strikes the solid black sphere. The heavy projectile shoots directly upward, along the incredibly steep incline, with profound speed. It strikes the heavy stone ring, high above the dusty ground, wildly spinning, entirely out of control. For an agonizing moment, time appears to fully freeze for the deeply terrified mass of watchers. Fully defying logic, the sphere miraculously falls straight down through the extremely tiny stone hole. The exhausted dark captain falls heavily onto the ancient stone floor, absolutely defeated. A wild and deafening roar suddenly explodes from the steep terraces of the fully crowded arena. The impossible goal has finally been safely scored entirely right before their disbelieving eyes. The victorious captain forcefully drops to his bruised knees, desperately gasping for the dusty air. The golden sun finally sinks entirely below the jagged stone horizon, casting deep shadows. The almighty Maya king abruptly stands up from his grand stone throne, commanding absolute silence. His dark silhouette is perfectly outlined against the dying, fiery colors of the evening sky. He slowly raises his hand in a firm, commanding gesture, officially ending the fearful match. In an instant, the deafening cheers of the massive and loud crowd are completely extinguished. A heavy, deadly silence replaces the noise, wrapping the ancient court in pure, absolute terror. The fleeting moment of athletic glory is now completely over for these brave warriors. Everyone present perfectly understands the terrifying ritual that must unfold next. The truth of Pok-A-Tok is quite dark. It was never a fun, sporting event for the Maya. It is a necessary, tragic sacrifice designed to perfectly appease the powerful gods. Ask yourself this deeply terrifying question. Could you bravely stand upon this fearful stone floor? The defeated captain is roughly dragged right into the true center of the dark, ancient stone court. Scholars shockingly claim the winning captain was sometimes chosen for this profound and ultimate end. Offering the essence of the strongest warrior was the purest gift to the mighty ancient gods. Stripped of his armor, the deeply bruised warrior calmly falls to his tired knees on the cold stone floor. He never begs for mercy. He simply closes his eyes, calmly accepting his highly tragic fate. Deep night falls over the city. Bright orange torches light up the terrifying, massive stone walls. Out of the deep shadows steps the terrifying high priest. His face is painted in pitch black charcoal. In his hand, he fiercely grips a ceremonial blade carved entirely from dark obsidian. This volcanic glass is extremely sharp. It is sharper than any modern steel surgical blade. The dark priest slowly raises the sharp black blade high above the quietly kneeling brave warrior's head. The huge crowd watches in breathless silence, deeply captivated by the upcoming cosmic ending. A sudden flash of bright orange firelight violently reflects right off the polished volcanic glass. With one swift and powerful downward motion, the razor-sharp obsidian blade aggressively strikes. The brave captain's final sacrifice is made, instantly soaking the ancient court in vital essence. In ancient carvings, this fearful end is shown as something deeply beautiful and truly poetic. The crimson streams of vital essence physically transform into 7 majestic, feathered serpents. The serpents represent Kukulkan, symbolizing that all new life must truly grow from sacrifice. With this profound and tragic sacrifice, the cosmic balance of the universe is fully restored. Pok-A-Tok was never just a game of skill or a form of simple, casual entertainment. It was a deeply religious and terrifying duty, strictly forced upon the bravest warriors. Every single ancient stone ballcourt was entirely designed to function exactly like a temple. These exhausted athletes were certainly never merely human. They became legendary demigods. Their highly brutal game flawlessly reflected the truly eternal struggle of light and darkness. We often watch modern sports for fun and to proudly celebrate an incredibly simple victory. These ancient warriors strictly never played for a bright golden trophy or empty earthly glory. They entirely sacrificed solely to ensure the sacred sun would successfully rise the next morning. In their brutal worldview, the strange cycle of life strongly demanded an incredibly heavy toll. To be strictly chosen to perish on this altar was indeed considered a perfectly holy end. The bravely sacrificed victim instantly earned absolute immortality among the ancient gods. The ruthless king secured his total power by constantly hosting this highly terrifying event. The sacred offering washed away the people's deep fears about terrible drought and severe famine. For the brave Maya, the game was never an escape. It was their completely terrifying reality. Today, the quiet ancient court stands strictly under the bright sun, fully hiding its dark history. Listen closely, and you might still hear the ghostly echoes of the heavy ball directly hitting the stone. The game stands as a dark testament to an ancient empire completely obsessed with a tragic end. The dark sacrifice was seen as a noble honor, but was it true faith or a tyrant's cruel act? Would you have stepped onto that dark court, knowing the ultimate price of failure? Tell us your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this dark journey into history, please kindly like, share, and subscribe to our channel.